Hi gang, so in this video I wanted to talk about my experience so far with the Rodecaster Pro II. I have not owned the previous version of the Rodecaster Pro, and I am very much a novice when it comes to audio interfaces and audio production. So if you don't know about this device, it is an audio interface geared towards podcasters and live streamers. It has 4 different XLR inputs for you to hook up mics, instruments, and so on. There are smart pads which can be used to create sound effects or play a certain sound clip when you press them. Anyway, if you want an extensive review, I'll link some videos down below for you to check them out. So when I first received the device, I had an issue with the USB-C port 1. There are 3 USB-C ports on this device, one of which is to power the device, and it comes with an included charging adapter. And the other 2 ports are to hook up other USB-C compatible devices like laptops, phones, and so on. So the USB-C port 1 seems to be the only port that allows you to interact directly with the Rode Central application, which can be downloaded on your laptop, MacBook, Windows, whichever. And it just wasn't connecting. I tried it on my Windows laptop and also a MacBook Pro, and that didn't work. Some suggested to, instead of using the USB-C to USB-C that it comes with, some people were suggesting to use the USB-C to USB-A type A port. And for some people that solution works. So if you're having issues there, try that. But that didn't work for me. So I contacted Rode, and I also contacted the retailer which I bought the device from. And the retailer organized everything for a return and a replacement. And the second device I got, it has issues with the Smartpad. So this is a problem that I've seen on forums and YouTube videos.
Whenever I touch something, I just touch my desk, and the pad is going off, it's triggering.
What happens is the smart pads are very sensitive to any sort of vibration. So if you tap the table that the device is on, the smart pads will trigger by itself. When it triggers, it either emits a sound or it creates some sort of sound effect on your voice if you're speaking into a mic. So that's not great when you're trying to produce something. And it also goes off if you move the device, if you tap on the frame. Sometimes pressing other buttons will trigger one particular button, or pressing one button will trigger other buttons, that kind of thing. So for me, my issue was the 3rd button down from the right. And I've also noticed other people complaining about that particular button or the one above it. One poster on Reddit, SR Cassidy, suggested that you tinker around with the haptic feedback settings, set the haptic feedback to no haptic feedback, and then switch it around. And that seemed to solve their issue. I tried that, and the buttons started behaving themselves a little bit more, but it was still sensitive. I watched a teardown video. It was posted by Stuart from Multimedia Corp, and he had a unit which Rode said, because it was his 3rd device which had this issue, and Rode told him, okay, you can dispose of it if you want. So he actually took that device apart and looked into it to see the components and everything. And as I was watching the video, I didn't see anything obvious that would seem to be causing the issue. The only thing that seemed to maybe indicate something is that there is a Bluetooth connector which is next to that particular button that I'm talking about. Most of the body is made out of plastic, but there is a thin metal plate on the uppermost top of the device. It's the surface area that you work on. So that encases the smart buttons, but directly beneath it, there is more hard plastic. I wanted to play around with it a few more days to see if I could maybe resolve the issue by myself. And I noticed if the device had been on for a period of time, the smart pads would behave themselves again. And I was thinking, so maybe it has something to do with temperature. The smart pads themselves have LED lights underneath. I think they're LED lights, I'm not entirely sure. But there's some sort of lighting under these smart pads, and those lights would probably emit some sort of heat. And the smart pad area, it's directly below the charging port and the SD card. And that particular area is quite warm to the touch as you use the device. So that part heats up. So I did a few tests to either prove or disprove my theory. So the first thing was I had the device on for a period of time, and at that moment, the smart pads were not triggering by movement or by tapping the frame or anything like that. So I switched it off and I directly switched it back on again. And my thought process was, well, the heat should still be retained after directly switching it off and on again. So sure enough, when I turned it back on, I jiggled the device, I tapped on the frame, and it didn't seem to trigger any of the buttons, and they were working just fine. So second thing I tried was I left the device overnight in the room. The next day, I heated up the smart pad area with my hairdryer just for a few moments. I didn't want it to be like really hot or anything, just lightly warm it up, and switched it on. And again, the smart pad seemed to be functioning just fine. So the third test I tried was I left the device for a while, let it cool down, and then a few hours later, I turned it back on again, and I tested the smart pads. I tapped on the frame. The smart pad started going off. It started triggering by themselves again. And so directly after that, I heated up the smart pad area with my hairdryer. And once it felt warm to the touch, I started doing the same shaking and tapping, and the smart pads were fine. I tried this a total of 2 times, and so I think, at least for my unit, the issue seems to be with heat. Something about the device at a cooler temperature makes it more sensitive to movement and vibration. I don't know if it has anything to do with the metal plate on top, or if it's something to do with the internals. I'm not sure. That's my speculation. And of course, this is only my device, but I'm interested to know. So if you have the Rodecaster Pro II and you have this issue with the smart pads firing for no reason, let me know. Do you use the device in a cooler climate? Is your workspace air conditioned? Are you working next to a fan? Or do you live in a cold climate and your heaters aren't on very much? Let me know. And try out maybe just lightly warming up the area around the smart pad and see if that alleviates the problem. And if so, please let me know down in the comments, because I'm interested to find out if it's, just my device, or if this is the case with other devices. I've been wanting to explore the audio side of content production, and prior to this, I was only using a lav mic that was connected to the camera directly. It was a wired lav mic, and I would always forget that I'm wearing the mic. So I would stand up and try to walk off somewhere. My camera never fell because of that reason, but I figured it was a matter of time. So right now I'm using a mic stand and a mic. I was recommended this particular mic from a channel called the Time Preservation Society. It's a newer channel and there's interesting content there. If you're into audio stuff, that's an interesting channel to check out. A lot of it's quite technical and I don't understand a lot of it, but there's some gems in there if you are more of a beginner or you're just interested in just learning a little bit more about audio equipment. He recommended I use a small condenser mic. I think that was the term. And then I looked through his other videos and I saw that he was reviewing a mic called the Octava M something. I don't know. I'll put the name up. 212. I like it. I think it sounds nice. Granted, I don't have a very good ear for different kinds of mics and different, I don't know. And I'm recording this audio via the Rodecaster Pro II. I had an issue the other day where the memory card was corrupted and I did a whole video and none of the audio was saved. So I'm redoing this video. If you've been watching my channel, you also know that I haven't been on this platform I've been kind of off and on this platform for a bit, and that's because I've been having some health complications, specifically with long COVID. So past couple of weeks, it was pretty bad. Yesterday and today, I feel better, but there are still dips in my energy level and just general fogginess. My speech, I think, has improved. In the past 2 weeks, I had a lot of problems forming sentences. My sentence structure would be very jumbled up. I would forget words a lot. I still forget words here and there. And I would kind of blank out in the middle of a sentence or in the middle of doing something. I would just be holding a cup and going, why am I holding a cup? I don't know. It's been quite scary and frightening because I didn't know how long it would last, and I still don't know how long it would last, and I don't know if it subsides, if it will come back again. And it's very, very possible that it will come back again because it's been happening off and on since I got COVID for maybe a year and I don't know, maybe a year and a half, I'm not sure. Usually the symptoms get triggered right after a bout of illness or physical exertion on my part. Here's hoping that it's going to stay at bay for a little while. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. And that's it for me. Ciao for now.